understand that. And the only way you'll know is by asking questions. Somebody says, oh, network marketing. You say, oh, do you have some experience with that? Draw that out. Find out what the experience is. Because just because they either failed or failed a second or third or whatever number of times, or just because they were with a company that failed, doesn't disqualify them as being a great candidate to become a leader in your business. Does that make sense? All right, so be open to that, but also be aware of that along the way. Okay, so then we tried again immediately after that company failed, and we got off and running, and that's where I spent 17 years with another company. Even 4 of those years, the company asked me if I would become corporate, so I was on stage as a corporate. I was the vice president of sales and training, and I traveled and did all those things. So I was corporate and a distributor simultaneously. It's rare that a company lets you do that. They let me do that. Small company, and that was what it was. Then, once again, as the company got bought out, they went through changes. We were open, and that's when we looked and searched and looked at more than 50 different companies. And Nu Skin met every key criteria that a veteran of the industry who's really honest about what they're looking for, that's what they would want, what Nu Skin has. And so we just dismissed all the startups, and we dismissed all the fast growth stories and all the quick money stories and all that stuff. And we dismissed when companies offered us dollars to join the company and deals to join the company, because it wasn't going to be the same for our team. What good would it be for us? And that's when we saw what Nu Skin had to offer. It just made sense. We came on board, and now, of course, leverage lifestyle as a result. So I have to ask you a question right up front, a couple of questions. What would you attempt if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you attempt? What would be on your dream board list if you knew that you couldn't fail at it? And what would you attempt if you knew that there was truly a system to achieve it? Now, isn't that the key word to this whole thing is system? We talk about System 7. You're going to hear system over and over today. It is about trusting a system and then doing it. When we finished up our convention back in October, there was a one-day breakout afterward of the OTG group for international. There were people from around the world. And one of those from Europe told this quick story. He said, there was somebody on the team who came and said, you know, just isn't working out for me, I'm done. They were lucky that they had the conversation with their sponsor, and the sponsor said, would you do this? Would you just be consistent with the system for 90 days? And if you'll be consistent with the system for 90 days, I'll never ask you again. It's okay. You can leave. You're done. You're done. And the person said, all right, I'll give you 90 days. For 90 days, they did the system, and today they're a blue diamond. Isn't it interesting? From the edge of gone, trust the system to massive success. It is a system that does work if you employ it, and if you do it consistently, and frankly, if you trust it. So I want you to do this. You might see a set of random numbers, and if I had this sheet of paper in everybody's hand, I would do it a little bit differently, but here's what I want you to do. Train your eyes on this, and when I say go, I want you to find number 1. And then hold it. The moment you find number 1, I want you to go and find number 2. And the moment you find number 2, I want you to find number 3, then number 4. Ready? All the way to the end. All the way to the end. Ready? Set, go. Okay, stop. How many got to 3? At least 3. How many got to at least 4? Really? What's wrong with the rest of you? See, now, isn't that an interesting way I phrase it? What's wrong with the rest of you? See, if you go off and start doing this business on your own without a system, you begin to question, what's wrong with me as I'm not having success? But what if I gave you a system? And what if in the system I said, number 1 is in the first quadrant, number 2 is in the second quadrant, number 3 is in the third, number 4, then around again and around again. Do you see that there's a pattern emerging and that there's a system here? So let's just try that again. Find number 1, then number 2, number 3. Ready, set, go. And now stop. How did you do? Did you do a little bit better? Did you do a lot better? Was there less frustration? Was there less panic? It's amazing, isn't it? If you have a system the most amazing things will happen for you. Powerful, isn't it? So let's talk a little bit about it today. You're going to be learning really more in detail about that very system. Now, systems have been known for years to really build big businesses, like franchises as an example. And there's an emphasis on duplication, and to the degree that if you're going to be in most franchises and you want to vary from whatever that formula of success is, they will say, good luck, we get our franchise back. We can't risk your failure in the marketplace or the lack of consistency you will represent. We want consistency so people in the marketplace trust our brand. And so for franchising, duplication is critical. But I'll tell you what, System 7 offers that as well, because we have a proven system that gets you from where you are to where you want to go in the shortest period of time. System 7 will change. If you change it, you're just tempting fate that it won't work for you. I don't know what the difference will be. I mean, you might say, well, but this is just a little tweak, it's a little improvement. I'm not so sure. I've watched little tweaks and little improvements take teams out of the business. So trust the system and keep working it. Now, I want you to work with me. This might be a little bit hard to read. Close your eyes. So let me just read it to you, right? Close your eyes. I am your constant companion. I am your greatest helper or your heaviest burden. I'll push you onward or drag you down to failure. I am at your command. Half of the tasks that you do, you might as well just turn over to me, and I'll do them quickly and correctly. I'm easily managed. You must merely be firm with me. Show me exactly how you want something done. After a few lessons, I'll do it automatically. I am the servant of all great people, but alas, of all failures as well. Those who are great, I've made great. Those who are failures, I have made failures. I'm not a machine, but I work with all the precision of a machine, plus the intelligence of a person. Now, you may run me for profit, or you may run me for room. It makes no difference to me. Take me, train me, be firm with me, and I will lay the world at your feet. Be easy with me, and I will destroy you. Who am I? I am called habit. Okay, open your eyes. That is how powerful habit really is. That is how powerful habit really is. It is scary how we are either successful by our habit or fail consistently and over again in the same areas because of our habit. So let's talk about some of the habits we've got to get really good at. Daily prospecting. They say 90% of success is just showing up, but if you begin to measure daily prospecting, and I mean truly measure daily prospecting, then your result of your measurement is going to produce results because you'll know, you'll be honest with yourself. You see exactly how you're doing. How many new prospects did you contact today? Build your list, a master list. Be serious about that. Create structure. You need to have a place that you work. You need to have some consistency with the way you go about it. You have to make a certain number of calls per day. We talk about 3 threes. What is your number? As long as it's a number, then you'll be able to measure it. How did I do? It's a great question to ask each day. How did I do today? Are you making progress? Now, really, the only barrier between you and success comes down to fear. It's one form or another, and you can take that acronym any way that you desire, but some talk about fantasized experiences appearing real, and maybe that's what your fear really is, but whatever it is, you've got to overcome your fear. And sometimes it's just a question of more knowledge is going to help you to overcome fear. And sometimes it's trust in the system. Sometimes it's learning and seeing more people who are just like you succeed. I will tell you that back at age 21, one of the reasons I felt like I didn't succeed, again, it was all right here that I didn't succeed, but at age 21, I was thinking I didn't see many people age 21 around me. And so I didn't relate. The success was being achieved by people who were much, much older, and there was a gap, and that impacted my belief system. It's interesting today that groups of young people bring groups of young people to success. Does that make sense? Because there's a belief that I'm just like them. If they succeeded, so can I. And so you've got to overcome your fear by exposure and being around successful people and seeing successful people all the time. And there's things like fears of rejection and apathy and attrition and distraction. I mean, these are all things that come in and pop in that you've got to manage your mind. Understand that in our business, you'll be hearing more and more about this concept, and you'll hear today about creating a contact list and doing a lot of the details. I want to give you sort of an overview picture as we're getting started, but professionals in our business are those who can sort and sift. They understand there's a huge population. There are going to be some who listen, some are intrigued and excited, some become a representative in some way. They're coachable, they want to duplicate, they get started, they build, they become an LOI, they follow your lead, etc., become an executive. That's part of the sifting and sorting process. Along the way, we say some won't. So there's this SW equation. Some will, SW, some won't, SW. So what? SW. Someone's waiting, SW, right? So you just understand that you just keep sorting and sifting, you'll find the ones. If you have this attitude and this theory in your mind, you say, you know what? I've really been working on somebody. Well, I'm not sure somebody really wants to be worked on so far, right? Yeah, I've been working on somebody, and man, I'm going to make him successful if it kills me. As Jim Rohn used to say, I nearly died, right? If you have that kind of attitude that you're going to work on them until they're successful, right, you could die in the process. So you're sorting and sifting. You're making it easier for yourself. This could be a fun business, or this could be a really frustrating business based on how you approach that. You want to build your why. I can teach anybody how to get what they want out of life. The problem is I can't find anybody who can tell me what they want. So finding your why is really critical. And then don't prejudge. I got a great story on don't prejudge. A few years back, and back now maybe 7 years ago, we had just finished up an event down in Anaheim. It was our annual kickoff. I gathered our team. We were out in the hallway, and we were just kind of telling stories and what was a highlight for you and for you. And this little gal just kind of stepped out, and she said, my name is Shirley Massell, and it's my birthday today. I remember that because we all stopped and sang happy birthday to her. And she said, this has been an amazing event, and as a result, when I go home, I'm going to sell my nail salon. I'm going to do this full time, and I'm going to do this in a big way. And I had never seen or heard of her before, and 6 months later, she was a Blue Diamond. If I had said, what's the ranking of who I think in this group was going to be the person who in 6 months was Blue Diamond, she certainly wouldn't have been in the top 20, and she probably would have been in the bottom 5. I would have prejudged her out. Somebody prejudged her in, worked with her, and she built, and on 4 trips now, she's been a team elite in the business. And so she said, don't prejudge. You can't. Let them, it's just, you've got to offer it. You just got to put it out there and let them know. Your road to success kind of looks like this. You get started, and every person goes through something like this. You become an LOI, and then you have rejection and disaster, and you get distracted, and stuff happens in life. And then you kind of rebuild, and it starts with your mindset. You become an executive, and guess what? You crash again. I mean, there's sometimes some attrition, some apathy. Your team goes left, goes right, doesn't do things that follow your step. I mean, all of that's frustrating, and then along the way, you have success. Here's the thing. If you're going nice and smoothly from here to here, I feel sorry for you. 2 things. One, there will be some of this, number one. Number two, if you go quickly from here to here, who on your team can relate to that? So as you go through a little bit of this journey, then when somebody's expressing to you that they have some challenge and some frustration, you'll say, I get it, I understand, I've been exactly where you are. And that becomes a much more comfortable conversation to coach and guide them. It's okay if you're going through a challenge. In fact, here's what I would tell you. If you're going through a challenge, you've got to stay plugged in. You've got to be listening to the calls. You've got to be coming to the events because the system works. You just have to figure out what part of the system hasn't been applied correctly yet. And the moment you do, the most amazing things will happen. Here are some of the actions that work, and there's plenty. You know them, you'll hear more about them today. But the idea is plug in and do. It's all about the action. And here's what it takes. Using all the products, right? And learning, getting better at it. Recruit. These are the facts. I mean, this is what you're going to be learning today. Zero in on what the action steps are as well. That's important that you know. You've got to take action. Action is what will move you forward. And sometimes it's action that creates some challenges, but you say, I've got to learn. The very first time I stood in front of an audience and did a presentation, it was horrible. It was awful. I mean, I was sweating. I was so far out of my comfort zone. It was terrible. I'll date myself and I'll say that I was holding one of those clickers to advance the slides, but it was tethered to a machine that had a carousel of slides. That's how long ago this was.